Today we're going to go ahead and go over a line variation for a knees elevated skull crusher. You can do this with your knees or your legs floating at 90 degrees in the air where you cross your ankles over. You can have it where you put your feet on the wall. It would also work your core a little bit more if you put your feet on the wall. And we're going to also do a bench variation, which we're going to do today, where you just set your feet up on the bench, okay? It's still going to work your core all over. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my selected weight. I'm going to use a kettlebell. You can use a dumbbell as well. I like to use kettlebells because it forces my elbows in, because the more you have your elbows lined up with your shoulders, you're going to isolate the tricep underneath your arm a little bit more and really get that nice horseshoe look when you're working your tricep and building that muscle. So I'm going to go ahead and place my heels on the bench here. I'm going to scoot to where my knees and my hips are making a 90-degree angle, like so. I'm going to go ahead and get my hips nice and centered on the ground. I'm going to make sure my knees are hip width apart here, okay? I'm going to scoop my pelvis slightly towards the ceiling to engage. I'm going to go ahead and grab my weight and grab it by the horseshoe here, okay? So if you notice, my weight's going to be behind my head. So when I press up, the weight is going to be facing my eyeballs. Just be careful when you're doing this. Start off with light weights to get used to handling weight like this. And, always make sure that you're going to be safe for this. So I'm going to start off with it over my shoulders. If you want to lock it out a little bit more, you can angle it farther away from the head. So right here, we can angle it slightly so you're not coming right to your forehead. We can come past if it makes you nervous. Okay, so you're going to keep your elbows in. I'm going to screw my hands in, or screw the hands in towards the center of each other. And then I'm going to take a deep breath in and bring the weight down, keeping my elbows in, okay? Touching above my forehead and then pressing. Deep breath in on the lower. And big breath out. And we can move it back a little bit more if you want to challenge your tricep a little bit more. And you're really just focusing on keeping that elbow in towards the center. We want to line them up so we really, when we press through, we can really squeeze and lock out that tricep. That is it. That's the movement. Just make sure you stay braced. If you're going to do it where you're floating your legs, you just float your legs. I always like to dorsiflex to make sure I'm activating my core. That always kind of helps. Or you can cross your legs over if you'd like, if you feel like your hips are shifting. And another variation is you can also do these where you're floating. So you have like floating about an inch if you really want to work your core. And then we can come up with the tricep work. Just make sure you're keeping your core engaged, which you will if you're driving your heels in while you're working your triceps. So that's a nice little core, full body movement with working your triceps as well. Feel free to do a dumbbell. You would just hold the outsides, same kind of thing. You would try to keep your elbows lined up while you're pressing. So the movement would look like that, okay? So that is the lying knee raise skull crushers.